4v3.
Everfrog Esports trying to find what angle they can, trying to find somebody out of position.
We're gonna go through on this. Oh, what a roll. Gonna take flag. See White gonna go in.
It's going to be a really, really interesting one.
Oh my god. All of this competition could be so damn close, so I cannot wait for us to finally decide who's going to be the champion. We are expecting some chaos, some great moments.
A beast mode has killed 3. Only gonna really need that rampage, so it's gonna clear it out. Santi gonna get themselves a big old 4K. Oh. Santi's getting rid of 3, clearing out the house.
That is crazy.
Nunji actually kills 3 people.
This team feels entirely different on this faster composition. Now Saga is hanging around, getting onto the high ground. Post bomb's gonna stick on the Leaky. You're not gonna be able to survive it at the end of the day. Manages to find a 3K.
Rio shoving this Ana into a corner. Woo! One more for the road for Rio.
That is all signs go. Melophobia with 3 Melophobia. Start the fight. They'll end the fight. Oh my god. Beagle Bus, they have to play aggressively into this energy. Popping off in a moment where you needed just that. Ruby in that backline. Oh, the flick. Looking for it. Oh my goodness. The 4th one as well. Do they get the 8? They get the 8.
Welcome back, everybody. One more game here tonight. The marathon, very nearly over. I am exceedingly tired. Very long day for me coming to a close after this match. We've got an org matchup here between the Inferno and Outlaws of Vicious here. A match that we actually did see in week 7 that went in 3-1 way of Vicious Inferno. So Outlaws looking to maybe turn their luck around here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is one where they want to get some revenge. It's like you said, inner org kind of battle here. These two teams probably know each other very well, but if you are the Outlaws, you want to get that revenge, and what better time to do it than right now in the losers bracket of the playoffs? I mean, Fletch, there's been a lot of great games to go on here today over the entire day here at CGL. 3 streams, all ended 3-0, but with this one here tonight, I don't believe we will see another 3-0. These two teams are going to probably play it as close as humanly possible.
Could not agree more. I think that this has the propensity to be the closest matchup here that we have seen today out of the 4, but we're going to switch the screen here and you're going to see a monster bracket. 16 teams bracket here, only 12 actually represented. The top 4 seeds got a bye. You see here that, the Vicious Outlaws actually did move on in the first round of the playoffs, while Vicious Inferno was not so lucky. They got knocked out by Dakker's Son early on in this bracket, 3-0 fashion. So it's going to be a very, very interesting thing here, because you see all the way down at the bottom, you might need a magnifying glass to see this matchup. They have an ability to see another Vicious versus a Vicious matchup there. One of these teams is going to win, of course. That'll be Vicious no matter what. But Vicious Unforgiven is also in the other side of the bracket, waiting to meet with the victor potentially between them and Demon Kitten. So you see this monster console NA bracket all the way down at the bottom is where we're going to be going tonight.
Yeah, and I mean, one quick thing when you look at this here, you do see those names like Short Bus, Snowfall, Mental Institution, all up there in that winners round 3. Vicious Sharks, so another team from the Vicious org, is there. Vicious, I believe if I counted right, 6 teams from that org making the playoffs here, so that is something that they should actually be really commended for. That's a lot of teams they had participating in this NA console open tier, and to have 6 of them make the playoffs, it is not a small thing there to do. So good job on that org to get all those teams here. But now focusing back in on the series here tonight, we do know our lineups for the start here. First off with Vicious Inferno here. You have Obestology and Skibbity Riz on that DPS line. Flam 34 on the tank. Todoroki and Anime on the support line here. And I mean, this is the team that came into this postseason of the higher seed, better record overall, 5-3 on the season, and beat the Outlaws in that Week 7 matchup, as we talked about, 3-1 here. So they probably know what they need to do tonight.
I'm gonna be honest with you, it was really funny hearing you say Skibbity Riz. I almost broke there. That was really funny. But yeah, Vicious Inferno, pretty well the favorites here. They did end up losing their first round match, which is not something that Vicious Outlaw can say. They did end up winning their first matchup, but both of these teams in the same place, though ultimately fighting to stay alive in this tournament. On the other side, the Vicious Outlaws, Curious Amity on the DPS, Chicken 96 on the tank, and Crazy Turn and Dark in that back line. You know, like you said, this team did fall 3-1 earlier in the season to Inferno. So looking to, put this friendly rivalry to bed for the season by knocking out and getting revenge on their cousin team.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, what a better place to do it, and they do have the lineup here to do it. I believe I've casted Outlaws in the past. Curious and Amity do definitely sound like players I have casted before, and I remember them absolutely popping off in the series I was able to watch them go into there. But this matchup here, we're going to talk about a lot throughout the night. The fact that this is an inter-org thing, these two teams have probably scrimmed against each other a lot. Didn't necessarily expect to see each other this early on in the playoffs, especially with the stakes that we have here with a winner moving on and a loser ending their season here. But Fletch, we have a long series ahead of us.
Yeah, first to 3 here, of course. And I will say, you talked about 6 teams making the playoffs here. That's half of all of the teams that made the playoffs in this bracket, which is ridiculous. So I will actually fight back and say it's not really surprising because they represent half of the entire bracket. So I'm actually surprised that these teams didn't meet up sooner.
Yeah, 6 is definitely half of 16.
No, there's only 12 teams in the bracket. It's a 16-team bracket, only 12 teams.
Okay, yeah, my bad. I forgot about that.
But we do know where map number 1 is going to be. Picked by, I believe, Vicious Inferno. It's going to be Antarctic Peninsula. Dex, what you thinking about map number 1 here?
I mean, here's the thing. I always say with every kind of control map, you can play a lot of different kind of comps on it. It's what we like to see a lot of teams run. We get to get a good idea of what these teams want to play. But we can always talk about just the elephant in the room when it comes to competitions at the moment with the Malga comps. Do we expect to see that? I mean, we saw a lot of different stuff in the previous series where we didn't necessarily expect it. I would expect to see Malga comps, but it might not be something like what we saw last night with, the one Malga team that we saw running something incredibly fast and off, kind of off pace from what is normally played with Malga. But if you want to talk about seeing Malga here, I would always expect to see that kind of mainstay at the moment, that Juno Brig backline everyone seems to be liking here, especially with this being the open tier. You would expect teams to kind of gravitate towards those meta picks here at the moment.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, it's just Malga all the way down as for, the best composition. It is what it is. Right? You can complain about it. You can whine about it all you want. Ultimately, that doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Right? This Malga composition is entirely dominant. We don't know. By the end of the playoffs, this meta will be the same, of course, with the looming season 14 patch coming soon. Not sure what that's going to be like, but I'm interested to see something different, if I'm being honest with you. I've gotten my fill of Malga for sure.
I think there's a lot of people who are, ready to see something different, but I wouldn't be surprised if the season 14 patch doesn't necessarily do a lot to Malga, but other stuff to other tanks to try to get a varied play style. But just the pure damage that Malga can put out is something that a lot of other tanks cannot match on their own. But I mean, hey, it's gonna be interesting to see when those changes come in. Let's talk about what other stuff we could see throughout the night here. I mean, we saw Jungle Queen work very well last night, but again, that was in the diamond tier. This is open. Sigma is something I could see come out, and Orisa as well. DPS line, I mean, Reaper is definitely one I really expect to see a Echo as well. Just so strong right now in the meta. Tracer could be something, an off pick maybe we see from these teams if they want to try to pester a backline, especially if they're not running that Brig Juno kind of that backline, just because it might really force the team to try to make sure they're always having someone peeling back.
Yeah, there's a lot of pocket picks that we could see. But having said that, the DPS line traditionally is just going to be Genji or Echo paired with a Reaper. And from what we can see right now that y'all are not able to, it looks like it's just going to be pretty normal, maybe?
Yeah, I mean,
we will see as we get in here, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see what these two teams want to play, because from the little kind of glimpse we saw, maybe it will be something that we're expecting something close to the meta, but that might have just been because the gates were open and the teams could run around. Once we actually get into the map here, we're going to have a better idea of what these two teams want to do. I mean, but it's going to be really interesting to watch the tank battle throughout the night here, as it is in almost every Overwatch 2 series, with there only being one Flam and Chicken. Going to be really interesting to watch, but coming out the gate, I mean, this is very, very close to kind of meta as we could expect here. Outlaws running it straight here. That is the meta. That is what we really expect to see. Vicious Inferno, on the other hand, you have Obestology there on the Ashe here, and it's not a bad pick, especially if you want to try to slow down Curious on the other side running that Echo. It really even forces them to play around angles that they don't really want to play, but now as they go over to the Genji, I feel like the Ashe will lose a little bit of its, its value there, but still, Dynamite is huge. It really does force out a lot of cooldowns from the Outlaws if it does do that.
All right, in we go to Antarctic Peninsula here. Sub-level is where we'll start. Chicken going to immediately get charged in right away. Crazy Turtle just eviscerated, though, very, very quickly by Skibidi Riz in the backline. 2 dead for the side of Vicious Outlaws, and Inferno will be able to run in and very quickly take the first fight.
I mean, Curious is at least going to get 1, but that was just a pure masterclass there from Inferno. And, I mean, I would expect to see OB swap up here, but they did a great job on the Ashe. Amity on the other side, that Reaper for the Outlaws, they need to be matching what Skibidi Riz is doing. They really need to. That's going to be something that we're going to be watching throughout this series here tonight with the Reapers. They might be the most valuable character in this entire lineup outside these tanks, but the tanks are really just figure pieces.
All right, here we go. The flex out for Curious, waiting for the opportunity to go in. Oh my good God almighty, Flam able to run in and stomp out the lives of 2 players at once.
2 players at once, and it was that support line for the Outlaws. That's not who you want to see going down first, especially in this meta. And you can tell that Inferno is a lot more comfortable on this meta at the moment compared to Outlaws. Outlaws just haven't been able to find anything. Again, I will be talking about the Reapers throughout this series here tonight. Skibidi Riz has a 50% ult advantage on Amity at the moment. Amity has just not been able to do anything so far. They need to be able to get in and start putting some damage into Flam, really force out that cardiac overdrive early.
All right, well, cage fight out from Flam, and unfortunately Chicken very, very dead there. The Death Blossom will come out from Skibidi Riz. The deflect will claim Skibidi Riz's life, but not before 2 kills come through. Curious 22 HP and a Dream claimed by Beastology, and at 76%, it's going to be hard pressed for Outlaws to get this done.
It's going to be hard pressed, but it will come into this next engagement with the ult advantage. Todoroki and Skibidi Riz used their ultimates there and found value with it. Todoroki, I think after they popped Rally, basically got killed to not finding the most there. Inferno might have to give up point here just for a brief moment, but it looks like they're going to try to contest it.
Well, Bob enters the fray, as does the cage fight from Chicken, but nobody to help. Chicken falls. The cage fight is going to help corral everybody in for Curious to get value with this Dragon Blade, and 3 will be claimed by the Genji of the Vicious Outlaws.
Hey, and that's exactly what you needed there if you're the Outlaws. You just need something to build a little bit of momentum here. Yeah, you used 4 of the 5 of the ultimates you have. You put yourself into a bad position going into this next engagement, but Amity does have that Death Blossom ready to go here, and the only thing on the other side is that Orbital Ray for Animane, which, I mean, can win a fight on its own. It's what helped Curious find a lot of value with the Blade last time around, but if you're Outlaws here, you need to get something here early. You cannot allow Inferno to come charging in.
This Death Blossom has to be massive from Amity if they want to find something, and it will be. It will be just that. The Stomp comes through the trade as well. Amity only good for the kill on to Beastology. The Stomp knocks down the Reaper, but Flam will turn away and look at everybody else. Amity jumps into the crossfire there, and that'll be overtime beginning. Cage fight just evaporates Curious, and sub-level belongs to Vicious Inferno.
Yeah, I mean, this was a dominant round here for Inferno. Outlaw's able to get that one cap there, kept it for a decent amount of time, but like I said, coming into that next engagement, they used 4 of the 5 of their ultimates in that previous one because they needed to. If they didn't use all 4 of those ultimates, you probably end up not winning that fight there. So even though you would really love to have kept one, maybe like that orbital ray, you needed it in that engagement. Vicious Inferno, they did what they had to do after they got up to 99%. They let Outlaws take the point, they let them use all their ultimates, they held on to that orbital ray, and you saw what happened there after they used it. Basically, everyone was standing in it, kept everyone alive through it. That Death Blossom did not find the value it really needed to there to help out Outlaws. But now, as we head in here to the next point, you do see some swaps come out. Obesology going over to the Tracer. They want to get in that backline. They want to disrupt. I said we could see this throughout the night. Curious, though, they're going over to an Ashe of their own. Obesology not playing it anymore, so it's going to be interesting to see how Curious does on the Ashe this time around.
All right, well, a couple of nice little headshots there on to Skibidi. Keep that Reaper away from the back line for at least a little while. You see them through the wall down there on the low ground. Chicken rotating around the backside. Gonna get in there with the Stomp, but Beastology has come out swinging here early with the pick onto Crazy Turn. And it will be a very quick and dirty fight win here. Amity good for 2. The fake out the TP from Amity. Not really faking out anyone there, as Inferno will claim the first flip.
And, I mean, Amity picking up a couple kills there at the end does help them out a little bit, but just is not going to be enough. You see Curious making the swap over to the Tracer as well, realizing that that backline pressure is going to be something that they're going to need to get here onto Inferno. If you allow Animane and Todoroki to do what they want, it's going to be very, very difficult for Outlaws to do anything this map. It's what happened last point. They need to shut it down here and now, especially as you already see Chicken charging in.
Chicken charging in, but is very, very alone. The trade is there, and there's 2 now. So this is very, very doable for the Outlaws here. Gonna have to grab that mega health pack as Amity and Animane cannot escape. So even with the death of Chicken overextending, Outlaws will be okay as they win out this fight.
They're going to win out this fight, but Flam is not going to go down without a long, long stall right there, getting up to 42% in the process. And, I mean, if you're Inferno, you're okay with that fight loss there. You didn't use any ultimates. You're coming back into this next engagement with 4. Outlaws, though, you feel very confident. You want a dry fight right there. You have a lot of ultimates to play with, and you could go aggressive here and catch Inferno off guard.
Mega health pack claimed there by Beastology as the orbital ray is dropped. Cage fight invested. I mean, this is the perfect time to use the Death Blossom, and there's 2 dead there at the hands of both the Death Blossom of Amity and the Beastology Pulse Bomb, and Beastology has claimed the lives of 4 in this fight. A 1v1 versus Chicken for the point. Beastology wants this kill badly. Gonna almost get the ace, will claim that 5th kill as Outlaws will lose out on the point, but the stall was there from Chicken, so the retouch is going to come through.
And I mean, Vicious Inferno, they could use some ultimates right now, but they don't want to, and that might come back to hurt them here, Fletch.
Todoroki falls. Skibidi, Riz also meeting their fate there. 60% for Vicious Outlaws. Great stall there from Chicken.
Great stall from Chicken. Great usage of the rally by Dark, just to make sure that everyone on the Outlaws was able to really take that fight early on, even with Flam being there on that Malga. Just did not allow them to do anything. Still, though, Inferno going to come into this next engagement with double support ultimates. You look at Outlaws, though. They have a cage. They have a pulse bomb. That was a fight-winning combo last time around.
There is the ultimates invested. The cage fight will fade very, very quickly. Flam stomping out. Chicken early there. Curious and Amity last men standing. And Very easy to clean up those little health bars.
Yeah, very, very easy. And that's exactly what Inferno needed right there. They used both their support ultimates like a charm. When that cage came out, the rally and the orbital ray basically just got rid of that cage as fast as it came out. Now, if you're Outlaws, you have this Death Blossom, you have an orbital ray coming up. Vicious Inferno, you're going to have both your DPS ultimates here pretty soon and another cage, so you are in a good spot, but you cannot lose another quick fight here.
Quick stomp in there from a chicken.
Oh my
good
goodness.
God, Beastology has found two-piece pulse bombs already in this series.
And I mean, look at what that does. One ultimate usage there wins you the fight single-handedly. That allows you to hold on to this Death Blossom. It allows you to hold on to this cage. But Flam needs to get that up here pretty quickly because Amity and their own Death Blossom comboed with that orbital ray that Crazy Turn's about to have for Outlaws could be something that really flips this point back in their control here. But Inferno, they are in the driver's seat at the moment.
This orbital ray could be massive, and it will be. The cage fight fades. Skibby Riz popping the Death Blossom, as will Amity. The damage is immense from either side. 97% overtime begins, but with only 5% separating Outlaws from a win. Will there be a touch? Okay, there will be Anamain from the sky, able to get the overtime rolling. Beastology, no way in the nothing in the way of cooldowns here, having to play it safe. Getting chased down by Curious for the moment. Beastology trying to stay alive here. Pulse bomb in the hands of Curious. Stays alive, has to use the recall way more early than they would have liked to there. Recall now forced out of Beastology as well, and Outlaws will claim the second submap of Laboratory.
Hey, a much improved round there for Outlaws, especially when you look at the first round where they basically kind of got stomped. Yeah, they were able to get 47%, but this was a little bit better. They looked a lot better in that one. They were able to win a lot of fights without having to use ultimates, but sometimes when those ultimates did come out, you saw the value they were getting from Obesology was able to find multiple double kills with their pulse bombs, single-handedly winning and ending team fights all on their own. Hell, they got an ace that round, but it doesn't necessarily matter. Vicious Outlaws, they played a lot better as a team, and that's what you need to do, especially at this point in the season with your backs against the wall. Now we head to Icebreaker here, third and final point. No big swaps coming out from either side. I mean, the Tracers look great for both sides there. I would not expect them to go back over to the Ash here. It just doesn't seem to be the MO for either of these teams at the moment. So they know what to expect, and I'm really looking for one of these Malgas here to take initiative early.
All right, full mirror well in play here. Amity on the off angle. Just pumping as much damage as possible. Chicken trying to run away, but Skibby good to chase down that final blow. And without Chicken in this fight, it's going to be very, very difficult for the side of Outlaws to win this out here. So it'll be Vicious Inferno taking the first flip.
And again, Amity always is able to find a couple picks here, even after they lose their tank. And it really does help them out because they can come back a little bit faster than Inferno because of it. Chicken was one of the first ones to die there. But again, these Reapers are so important in this comp because of how much damage they could do, not only to the Malgas, but basically to everyone on the line, everyone out there. The supports, the DPS will get chunked down very quickly. You do not want to be in front of these Hellfire shotguns at the moment. But if you're Inferno, you're coming up close here to a cage. I would not be surprised if the moment Flom gets that, they immediately use it.
Chicken trying to engage, gets that ability out of Flom there. There will be a trade of these Malgas as Skibbity Riz lets the Death Blossom rip for Skibbity Riz. And can there be another ace? Beastology claims that final kill, so no ace indeed, but Vicious Inferno looking great.
Hey, I mean, again, use one ultimate there, technically two, since Obesology threw out their pulse bomb at the start of the fight, finding nothing other than the bottom of a staircase. But you look at Outlaws here. All 5 ultimates about to be on the board for them. This is going to be a very heavy ult investment from both sides. Expect cages and orbital rays first. That's what you want to see.
Well, there's the orbital ray from the side of Crazy Turn. Now the cage fight in as well. Flip comes through. Amity Death Blossom in, but Death Blossom out in the same breath there. Beastology and Todoroki claim one each, and it will be Vicious Inferno weathering the ultimate storm and taking this point back once again.
Outlaws took it here for a moment. Inferno would take it right back. I think the one mistake that the Outlaws did there was engage with the Orbital Ray. You want to engage with the cage there, follow up with the Orbital Ray, force out a lot of stuff from Inferno as well. You start off with the Orbital Ray like the Outlaws did there. You saw what Inferno was able to do. Just kite around corners, kite around the geography of the map, and it worked out to perfection for them. Now, Inferno has the ultimates here in this engagement to end this map here and now. The Orbital Ray from Animate is going to be something that could find a lot of value, unlike that Pulse Bomb.
Wide on the pulse bomb. Curious, good for one of themselves, trying to find the value here, and even without Todoroki, Vicious Inferno look more than capable here and will take Icebreaker, and in turn the map of Antarctic Peninsula going up 1 map to 0 here in this series so far.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, an inter org matchup here in the playoffs. You saw the tendencies here. They kind of knew how each of them wanted to play, but I mean, Pulse Bombs were the mainstay and kind of stole the show here. Obi got an ace after this play right here. And a lot of incredible plays come out from a lot of these players. Amity found a couple huge Death Blossoms. Same thing with Skibbity Riz. I mean, they were able to do so much there. Like I talked about, Reapers are going to be very important in this Malga comp. You're going to want to be able to find a lot of value with them. If Death Blossoms don't find anything, you're pretty much losing the fight here and there. That's what we saw on the first point. A Death Blossom only found one, allowed them to hold on to that Orbital Ray, and you saw them immediately come right back in, kill the team, cap the point, end the map right there. So, hey, you look at Inferno, great start here to this series, but Outlaws, they got better as that map went on. I think this is going to be a much closer series than what we saw in week 7 between these two.
Yeah, I mean, they've clearly leveled up. That, especially after that first sub-map of sub-level, that was kind of ugly from the side of Outlaws, but ultimately, you know, it's just one sub-map. They did get better throughout that first map. Unfortunately, not quite enough. I agree. The ultimate pacing was kind of weird there for Vicious Outlaws. Need to, tighten that up a little bit, and I genuinely believe that this is a team that can compete with their cousin here in Inferno.
Yeah, absolutely. And we could talk about the one mistake that Outlaws had, and I talked about at the end of the map. They engage with the Orbital Ray. That's not what you want to do. You want to engage with the Malga just charging in, forcing out some utility from the other side. Then you pop that Orbital Ray with the cage, find all the value there, force out all those ultimates at the same time. They forced out that Orbital Ray, allowed Inferno to hold onto theirs, and that's what helped them win that map there. So, I mean, just a little couple things that can easily be fixed heading into the second map, which, hey, we know what it is here, Fletch, and I think this is a great map for both these teams, especially if they both want to keep on playing this Malga comp here. It's going to be Eichenwald.
Yeah, Eichenwald is a very interesting map. I agree. I expect to see the Malga. It's pretty bog standard. I think there's only 4 maps in the map pool where you can comfortably say, hey, yeah, you can head off that comp for the moment, and Eichenwald is not the one of the hybrid maps where that can comfortably happen. It is for at least 2 out of the 3 points pretty hard nose. Put your head down, rush in, and brawl, right? So coming in for Eichenwald, I can imagine that Vicious Outlaws saw their own improvement throughout that Antarctic Peninsula map and are going to be more than comfortable to say, hey, yeah, we know what we can do. We've seen what we can do. We're going to just try and extrapolate that into these next few maps.
Yeah, absolutely. But when you looked at the comps here, it's going to be very interesting to see. Do we see the Tracers stay out here? It seemed like both the teams got very comfortable with it, but you're not necessarily going for the same control point anymore. So I feel like we're not going to see Tracers at the same kind of rate we saw them last map. We might be seeing that the Echoes come back out here, maybe even a Genji. We saw Genji there for a slight moment. Ash, though, potentially, especially with the long sidelines on this first point, and that's exactly what they're going to be coming out here with. No big swaps outside of Curious and Obisology, going back over to the Ashe. I mean, we saw Obisology play it on the first point last map, and we saw Curious play the Ashe for a brief moment on the second point before swapping over to a Tracer of their own. So, I mean, especially with the sightlines here on this first point, Ashe does make a lot of sense, but again, it all kind of comes down to what do these two Malgas do, especially with Chicken being the attacking one here. How much space do they make here, allowing players like Curious, especially a player like Amity on that Reaper, to get in, either teleport in and find a lot of value themselves so that both Amity and Chicken can pop off here early.
All right. Here we go. Map number 2 is selected by Vicious Outlaws. It's Eichenwald coming in here. Chicken just poking at Flam.
Okay.
I mean, Skibidi Riz just chunks down Curious very, very quickly, and a very easy and quick fight win here for Inferno.
And this could be the thing. You have to be watching your corners, especially now that Skibidi Riz has kind of shown themselves to be someone who is going to be perfectly fine hiding in a corner, waiting for you to walk past and take care of one. Look, Curious already getting off of the Ashe, going over to the Cassie instead. I don't hate the pick, but it comes down to a lot here. Yeah, you can start chunking Flam a little bit more, but you need to be able to work together as a team. And hey, again, corners are a thing outside of CSGO.
Amity catches out Skibidi Riz. That, I mean, beautiful pick there on the Flam, but unfortunately, I mean, Skibidi Riz is just a menace with these shotguns. 3 for the Reaper here. Make that a quick 4-piece for Skibidi, and another pretty easy fight win for Inferno.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And again, we had the same kind of thing happen first point as well. Skibidi Riz was just outclassing Amity on the Reaper. Already has the Death Blossom ready to go here. Vicious Outlaws, I mean, Skibidi Riz could pop this right now and they would not know what to do. But
I mean, probably should have just popped it as soon as they dropped down, but caught out by Curious there with a beautifully timed flashbang. But we've seen that Inferno is more than capable of winning these fights out comfortably, even down in numbers. And the cage fight asserts that fact one more time.
And it works to perfection there. They are down Skibidi Riz, who was doing so much in all those previous engagements. You lose them, pop the cage, force everyone in Vicious Outlaws to just stay right there, not a lot of room to move. They didn't want to invest any ultimates into that, and it worked out to perfection. However, though, Outlaws, you look at what they have here, about to have all 5 ultimates. Inferno, though, about to have all 4 other ultimates outside the cage. So again, we're looking at a very heavy ult investment fight coming from these two teams here. Outlaws, if they lose this fight here, do have one more chance, but I mean, you have to expect that the Riz is going to be doing something like this.
Skibidi Riz with the Death Blossom claims the lives of 2. Does get stunned out of the back half of the Death Blossom, but I mean, the damage immense from Skibidi Riz. 3 for the Reaper and only 75 seconds left for Inferno.
And again, Inferno, they used only 1 ultimate right there. They still have a Bob. They still have the Rally and the Orbital Ray. Outlaws, they invested the Rally there to stop the Death Blossom, but it was a little bit too late. They still found 2 off it. However, you have an Orbital Ray, you have a Deadeye, and a cage of your own. The cage might need to be used just to build some space.
Well, the Orbital Ray comes in and Chicken just evaporates. That was so quick, but Curious comes in. 2 kills with the Deadeye, but I mean, it's just a known fact that Inferno, they are able to win these fights down players. Bob enters the fray. Beastology claims the kill onto Dark. Bob will be a nightmare to deal with, and they can't push the point until he goes away.
Now, Bob's gone. Outlaws are going to get on point here, but you're going to see Chicken coming back on the D.Va here, but you already see the rest of Inferno back here to contest.
The D.Va Defense Matrix denies the cardiac overdrive of Flam with 10 seconds left. Vicious Outlaws have finally broken the staunch defense of Vicious Inferno. Minimum 2 ticks, but they will end up capturing out point A entirely.
And honestly, if you're Chicken, I don't know if you stick on the D.Va here. I would just immediately be going back to spawn and making the swap, but they're going to stick on it here for a moment. However, again, we saw it last night. Once that defense matrix is gone from that D.Va, you are just a sitting duck for these dual chain guns from Flam, especially with this cage ready to go here. They could pop it pretty early on and just try to hold at, you know, castle door.
I mean, the health pool's not looking the best for Inferno at the moment. just waiting to enter the fray once again. TP comes in from the side of Skibidi Riz, and the Death Blossom is immaculate. The backhand right after the ultimate to claim Chicken's life. It is a work of art that this Reaper is painting.
And again, we talked about it a lot, especially with these comps here. Reaper is going to be a very, very important character. A lot of damage. And hey, remember, they self-heal off damage. If you're running a big body tank like these two teams are, you're going to be able to find a lot. But it's not just that. Skibidi Riz is showing us here that they are chunking down these supports shot after shot.
Yeah, and there's the Death Blossom from Amity. You heard them TP up to that high ground. This Cardiac Overdrive will not be enough to keep Flom up. I mean, yeah, gonna go down here. Recall out of Curious as the rest of Vicious Outlaws disengage.
And right now, if you're Outlaws, you need to be picking up these kills here. You need to be staggering out Inferno as long as you can, especially with less than a minute now on the clock. And look at the ultimates you have. 4. It's huge here. Inferno will have 3 good ones of their own, still holding on to a cage that Flom's been holding on to now for a while. Pulse Bomb, not going to be able to find anything there, but it is just a good slowdown there for Inferno.
Cardiac Overdrive invested by Flam, who does end up falling. This Diva proving to be a very, very difficult hill to overcome. Crazy Turn goes very deep, gets rid of Todoroki. Does end up falling, but the point capture will more than be there for Vicious Outlaws.
Yeah, and after struggling immensely on the first point, able to get the second point with time on the time back and going to be able to stagger out Flom here again. They are looking at a great run here now, and the Diva is working out for them, like you said, but I believe it's more that DPS line. Curious and Amity absolutely just starting to pop off now. Skibidi Riz was doing that on the first point, found a huge Death Blossom after it, but now Curious Amity starting to pick up the slack here a little bit, really helping their team out. Obesology making the swap back over to the Ash. Gonna be interesting to see how long they stick on it here, but if you're looking at here early, the cage is a good start.
Cage fight invested, self-destruct as well. Hiding behind the card is Flam, and that'll be a beautifully timed fight. Only 70 seconds left. Curious does end up getting a pick, but not going to ultimately matter.
It's not going to ultimately matter for them there, but you look at what they're coming up to here. Oh, that is not a good start there. That's going to take away another 10 seconds here now. And when you look at Inferno, they only have a Death Blossom. Outlaws, they need to be pressing the gas here a little bit more. They have 3 ultimates to their name. They have a rally that could cancel out that Death Blossom from Skibidi Riz pretty early on. You need to go now, but
Skibidi, I mean, this guy is just in the right position at all times, not worried even a little bit about the defense matrix from Chicken.
Chicken, that was a brave move there to try to get back in the mech, especially with how close you were to, you know, the edge of the map. Yeah, I would have heard that call a little bit more than potentially trying to get back in the mech right there, because almost guaranteed you're getting demeched. But right now, again, Outlaws has this opportunity now. They have 3 ultimates. Inferno has nothing for a brief moment. You need to play fast, especially as the time bank is going down to 0.
I mean, but Flam just comes in and stomps down 2. Cardiac Overdrive is in to keep Flame up for a little while, but Amity eventually going to chunk it down. This Malga TP into the back line, and least obvious Death Blossom I've ever seen, but it does not matter because Amity has killed 4 players, and overtime begins. They get ever closer to the end of this map.
Obesology, though, can come back out with the Bob that can stall out the cart for a brief moment, but they have to get there to do that.
Okay. 1.3 meters on the point. Obesology with the turn on Curious. Gets rid of the Tracer. Orbital Ray down, but will not ultimately help Vicious Outlaws even a little bit. A great hero play there from Amity to get them very close to the end, but there is, in fact, a win condition in play for Vicious Inferno now.
And there is a win condition, but, I mean, give it up to Outlaws there. They honestly almost got stonewalled at the first point, completely stopped. They were struggling immensely, finally broke through, got that first point in overtime, and almost completed the map. I mean, that was a great turnaround for them because it seemed like going into every fight on that first point, Outlaws was always losing someone very early on. Inferno had their name every time, but just they were able to persevere through it. A good round there by the Outlaws. And I mean, it doesn't matter if Inferno caps this first point incredibly quickly. You could easily get held on second, and you could easily get held on third. Outlaws gave themselves a great chance here to even the series out. But if you're Inferno, you just gave yourself an incredible chance to win this map and put the series onto series point very, very early on in this inner org kind of battle here. But coming out of the gate, not a big surprise. When you look over at Inferno, Obistology going back over to the Ash seems to be their preferred hero on this map. Outlaws, though, on the other hand, looks like we're just getting a little bit of a swap at those DPS roles here. Curious going over to the Reaper for the first time, and Amity going to be the one playing the hit scan. So very interesting swap here, because I thought we were seeing Amity get a lot better as that map went on with the Reapers, and especially the Death Blossoms. They're able to find a lot, but looks like they want to make a slight swap here early on this round.
And we go for the Vicious Inferno attack. Skibidi Riz using that Wraith form to escape very, very early. Not finding exactly what they would have liked, but Curious also having to escape. Not really getting a whole lot done before having to do so. Wraith form again for Skibidi, just being annoying there for the side of Vicious Inferno. Headed over to the back line, will get chased down to fan the hammers for Amity, and a kill onto Skibidi Riz as Vicious Outlaws will push them back.
I mean, you're seeing kills go back and forth. Inferno should fall back here for a moment, down now one, but I mean, I could see him come right back in very quickly. Chicken and Flom, you look at the ultimate differences here. Once Flom gets that cage fight ready to go, I wouldn't just fully expect them to go straight to point, pop that cage, and just see what happens after that.
Alright, cage fight in play for Flam. Gonna throw it down very, very quickly. Now the Deadeye in as well. Will Skibidi Riz catch this out? I mean, will catch a bullet, unfortunately, but not going to matter too much as the attack overwhelms the side of Outlaws.
And, I mean, they did exactly what I thought they would. Once that cage was up, they played aggressively, and that's what you should be doing with the Malga here, especially with how good Inferno's been playing so far. And now you open yourself up here. You have an Orbital Ray. You have a Bob. You're in a very good spot. Outlaws, though, I mean, they're about to have everything else here as well. The only thing they don't have is that Deadeye. They're in a good spot in Skibidi.
Oh, goodness gracious. Very telegraphed, I will say. A little bit out of character than what we've seen for Skibidi Riz as the aggression comes through, and Flashbang going to claim Beastology, and Vicious Outlaws will be able to stonewall here for at least the moment.
And I like this play from Outlaws. They need to try to slow down Inferno here for a moment. Take some time off the clock. Remember, like I said, they didn't need to stop them on point one or point A. They can stop them on point B. Losing Amity does hurt for them here, but they're able to immediately trade out Flom. And at this point, for the Outlaws, you're hoping to maybe force out an ultimate or two from Inferno before you fall back yourselves and try to rely on, you know, one of the 5 ultimates you're about to have.
Well, here is one of those 5 ultimates. The Orbital Ray will just try to be kited there by the side of Vicious Inferno. A 1-for-1 trade, however, not exactly what Outlaws really wanted there, as the attackers will come in. Bob will be the answer to the rally there, and I mean, just unfortunate ultimate usage there for Vicious Outlaws. That was expensive for a loss. They used 4.
They used 4 Inferno. They used everything they had. If you're Outlaws, pluses, minuses, more minuses than pluses in that one. Curious is still holding on to a Death Blossom, the only ultimate ready to go at the moment. Flom's not that far away from a cage, which, remember, they like to use them pretty early when they get them, so I would expect point B cap to be soon in their name if they get that thing ready to go early on here, especially if Curious finds nothing with the Death Blossom.
Curious, forced to use the Wraith form Beastology.
Point?
Chase it down here. There will be a touch on the point eventually as Death Blossom is invested here by Curious. But Skibidi Riz in the backline continues to find these kills. And
oh my goodness.
Death Blossom is just beautiful and a little bit better. Just a smidge bit better than the last death they attempted.
Yeah, I mean, again, Skibbity Riz on this Reaper, it's going to be something we look at all series long here, especially when you compare it to the other side's Reaper. Curious, they didn't find any kills with the Death Blossom itself, but it chunked down Flom enough to get rid of them pretty early there. But again, you have to be watching out for Skibbity Riz at all points here. Almost 4 minutes to basically complete the map here for Inferno, and they're already halfway there. Outlaws, you are behind a lot here. You don't have any ultimates to go. You need to try to win a dry fight here. But that's a huge cancel.
Just slept out of the cage fight. It doesn't end up mattering because one more time, Vicious Inferno comes out and wins down players.
But if you're Outlaws
Did
here,
touch?
you need to get
Did
a touch. Oh.
Okay. Yeah, Bob enters the fray here, going to be very annoying for Dark, who has to back around the corner. This Reaper in the backline, Skibbity Riz being so annoying. Bob claims Curious, but there is still this Reaper above them on the high ground, can get that self-healing, and the Death Blossom ready to go, rotating around the backside. Death Blossom invested, gonna claim one, but no more. 0.4 meters separates Inferno from completion.
Some ultimates coming out there from Outlaws. I don't really think that were needed there. Crazy Turn, I think, used their own Orbital Ray there maybe a little bit too early because they thought they were going to get chunked down there by Skibbity Riz. But hey, desperate times, desperate measures. If you're Outlaws, you're holding on to two ultimates, two really good ultimates, and a Death Blossom not far behind. If you're Inferno, you're about to have both of your support ultimates, which can win you a fight on their own here. It's going to be really interesting to see when Anime decides to pop this Orbital Ray because you know they want to play aggressive.
Well, there is your answer. Almost immediately, the anti on the Todoroki is very, very annoying, but will weather that storm, well, for a little while, I suppose, as the defenders will find their first pick here. Counterpin there onto the opposition. Malga, the anti, great. Vicious Outlaws hold on the defense.
And this Ana pick that Dark made here is working like a charm. Use that nano there on the chicken when they use their cage, kept them alive through a lot of damage that Inferno was throwing their way, especially that Orbital Ray. Now, though, if you're Inferno, you do have this rally coming up here, but hey, Skibbity Riz getting some payback for last round, not checking their corners before walking out into this main hall here. Amity gonna be able to find them. Outlaws, you have both your DPS ultimates here. You're gonna need to use them pretty early on because Amity has used that Deadeye into a cage a couple times, only finding one and destroying the cage, but you need to find a little bit more, especially with how much time there is still left on this time bank here. If you're looking for something else, Crazy Turn, not that far away from an Orbital Ray, needs to build that up pretty quickly here to kind of contest with the cage Plum.
Do they know that Curious is here? The answer is no. Rips the Death Blossom in the backline, but the cage fight will deny the Wraith form to escape. The Orbital Ray keeping this team healthy for the moment, but nothing more coming from it with a minute on the clock here. This will be a very difficult touch here for Outlaws.
Well, they're going to get a touch here, but it's going to be very difficult for them to keep it.
Yeah. DPS getting in there, the recall out, the Wraith form as well. Todoroki falls though. Curious with a massive first pick. Skibbity Riz dead. Curious keeping this boat on the water here. The cage fight in from Chicken, the Orbital Ray from Anime to try and keep this fight rolling could be incredibly annoying. Bob only good for that cage fight. The nano boost applied to Chicken, and with 30 seconds left, neither of these teams have anything but a Death Blossom.
Yeah, and they're going to be so important here. We've seen in the past, Curious has thrown some away, Skibbity Riz has thrown some away, but they've both found triple kills, double kills a lot of times here. But that time bank, not on the side of Inferno anymore. And give a huge credit there to the Outlaws, but Chicken, that's not who you want to see fall early on, especially with the rest of Inferno falling so behind in another cage.
You gotta touch, 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 you gotta touch. You have to touch, you have to touch, you have to touch.
I hate it here.
All right, very close map, incredibly razor thin map there. I don't know if y'all heard me say, you have to touch the point. Good lord. Unfortunate end to that one.
They had everything. Outlaws did everything right. They held a touches there at the end that I did not think was going to be possible for them. They won a fight that I did not consider them winning there. Just to C9, I understand Chicken was trying to play aggressive, but that's not what you need in that situation. You needed to play back, and it comes back to bite them hard there. And it's such an unfortunate thing there because Outlaws, that was their map. They did everything they needed. They made the right swaps. It just came up a little bit too short.
Unfortunate here for the Vicious Outlaws. On the other side, Inferno are more than happy to take what their cousin gives them. 2-0 lead here in this game here in this inter-org matchup. We're going to cut it to a short break, and when we come back from our breaths, I'm gonna take some deep breaths and meditate over the next few minutes, and we'll come back and we'll see where Vicious Outlaws is going to take us for map number 3. breaths taken, meditation done. Map number 3 upcoming. Vicious Outlaws have got to recover. That was a hard watch at the end there. That might be the second or third C9 that I've seen today. It's kind of been a pandemic, as have the sweeps been. So I hope for my sake that Vicious Outlaws can get a map win here, because I may be verifiably cursed to be only casting sweeps today. But we do know where we are headed for map number 3. We're going to Saravasa, and I mean, it's gonna be more Maga. There's not a question in my mind about that.
Yeah, I mean, the Malga play from both sides was great. That one, you really started to see Chicken actually start to kind of one-up Flom a little bit there in the first two maps, or at least in the first map. It seemed like Flom was always coming out on top, but Chicken found a lot of success on the Malga there. I love the swaps that the Outlaws did there, especially late in that round, going over to the Ana. It really did help them out. It really forced the Inferno team to play cautiously. Those anti-nades, those bio-nades were coming in and hitting them when they least needed them to hit them, and it worked out great for Outlaws. But going into Saravasa now, like you kind of said, we took our deep breaths. What did Outlaws do? They have to be feeling bad about how that last map kind of ended here. You have to imagine there's going to be some mental thing here, because they could have potentially won that map there and not had their backs against the wall heading into this third map.
Yeah. I've been there before, right? It's always hard. I mean, critical mistakes happen. It's just the competitive scene, right? Of any game, right? In competition, nobody's ever perfect. But the big question for me is, what do you got left, Outlaws? Huh? I mean, you ran it very, very close. You could have won that map. What do you have left in the tank to try and get a win here on Saravasa? Because, I mean, unfortunately, that mistake puts your season on the line here. This is elimination now.
It very much is. And I mean, the one thing that we can definitely say about this Outlaw squad is they're a resilient bunch here. I mean, you look at how they played on Antarctica. They bounced back very strong after that first point. Eichenwald itself almost got completely held on the first point. Were able to cap it. Got the second point with time. Almost completed the map there themselves. They looked like a completely different team. And coming out of the gate here, we're not seeing a Malga at the moment. D.Va is something we did see Chicken run for a little bit. Did find a lot more success than probably both me and you really expected from the D.Va. But on the other side, Vicious Inferno, this is what you expect from them. The Reaper, Tracer, and Reaper and Malga comp is exactly what you really would be expecting from them. Skibidi Riz has been a monster on the Reaper so far tonight, just able to do whatever they want. But Chicken teased us with the Malga's pick, going back over to this D.Va pick here. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the D.Va plays on this map.
All right, here we go. Map number 3, Vicious Outlaws season on the line. Market, where we begin as always here on Saravasa. Plum trying to find these ignites, trying to get this going. The stomp, no good. Crazy turn claims the life of the Malga with that torpedo. And I mean, as we've seen time and time again, Vicious Inferno just winning out these fights down in numbers.
Down in numbers, but it's really just only down in their tank. If you allow that DPS line to live and thrive, they're going to be able to do exactly what Skibidi Riz and Obisology was able to do right there. Just find pick after pick after pick. I mean, whenever that defense breakthrough came out from Chicken, you saw it there. Skibidi Riz focused on someone else, almost chunking out Crazy Turn there incredibly quickly. I mean, there has to be some sort of process here for the Outlaws to get rid of Skibidi Riz early on, because that might need to be the person you're really watching out for here.
Go back in once longer, going to help out their Reaper. Skibidi Riz help to take down Crazy Turn. Recall is out, and Chicken will not use the self-destruct to get back in mech, and Skibidi Riz claims one more with the Death Blossom.
And again, it's just if you allow this DPS line to live for Vicious Inferno, it's gonna be very difficult for the Outlaws to do anything here. And I don't even think the Outlaws are gonna try to get a touch here. If they do, it might just be walking into certain death. I mean, yeah, they have a bomb to try to get something going here, but I don't know if it's gonna be the smartest thing. But yeah, what a whip shot there.
Whip shot there to deny the touch of Chicken, whose life will be claimed. And is that 3 2K pulse bombs for Beastology in this series alone?
Yep.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, this DPS line here for Vicious Inferno can pop off at a moment's notice. Skibidi Riz finding Amity there to end that one. And I mean, Vicious Inferno, all they did was use 2 ultimates that entire first point. Vicious Outlaws are going to come into this next engagement with 4 or 5 of their own pretty soon. But again, what are you going to do here?
I mean, Chicken's health just goes down so damn quickly. Now the orbital ray, both rallies invested from either team. Now the late orbital ray coming in from Anamain. Amity with the Death Blossom. Curious gonna claim 2 with that Death Blossom. Amity with the Deadeye, not the Death Blossom. Gonna able to put them ahead in that fight.
And honestly, I thought maybe Crazy Turn used that orbital ray a little bit too early. We've seen that in the past from them, but it ended up working out for them. Curious found all the value they needed there at the end of it with the Death Blossom just to make sure they chunked out a couple of huge members there for Vicious Inferno. Cap the point here first, but Inferno going to come back in with a Cage and a Death Blossom of their own here pretty soon.
All right, cage fight in from Flam. Skibidi Riz gets in there with the Death Blossom. I mean, Reaper here is just nigh unstoppable for Vicious Inferno.
And it's going to be, at this point, I have to wonder, when Chicken going to use this bomb? They've been demeched now a couple times. I understand why they didn't use it that last fight there. The rest of their team was dead. It would have just kind of been a wasted alt usage, but are you going to engage with a bomb? Are you going to throw it in there? It's very interesting because they need to be able to use this bomb here pretty quickly just to help out their team, at least get some space here.
Here we go. With the self-destruct ready to go. Flam very, very lucky to stay alive for as long as he did. Now down the Malga here. The trades are coming through, but Skibidi Riz at dead, Beastology bailing on the fight. It will be Outlaws taking back over.
And I mean, you're seeing that with the bomb being Skibidi Riz is kind of linchpin to everything here for Inferno.
Is this just me? No?
No, it wasn't.
All right.
It wasn't.
But Curious, but we're back. Now Curious with the Death Blossom ready to go whenever they should so choose to pull the ripcord. Rally out from both of these Brigs, and Amity just caught out in no man's land. Chicken going to use the self-destruct to return that mech back. Todoroki cannot get the stun out. The rally fades away just a little bit too soon. This orbital ray from Crazy Turn good enough to put Vicious Outlaws in parity with Inferno here on Suravasa.
Yeah, and that was a great fight there for Vicious Outlaws. Only losing Crazy Turn, but they found all the value there from their own orbital ray. Vicious Inferno used a couple ultimates in that fight as well, not finding all the value they necessarily were hoping for. And I mean, you're seeing Chicken here again. They've been able to kind of match toe-to-toe with Flom throughout this entire map on the D.Va. Again, another question mark we had coming in, especially if they're going to run it. How good can this D.Va be against the Malga on the other side? And so far, it's been pretty good. But now with a cage fight ready to go here for Flom, especially comboing with the orbital ray from Anamain, this is going to be a very difficult fight for Vicious Inferno unless they use ultimates here first.
All right, well, over to Palace we go. The Deadeye invested from Amity. Behind the fountain is the rest of this team. Will be very annoying, but Flam is actually the victim here. Curious getting tossed around like a ragdoll, and no chance for Skibidi Riz to answer. The first flip belongs to Vicious Outlaws here on Palace.
And again, you use ultimates first. You use Deadeye, which was huge. Yeah, you saw Todoroki kind of staring it down, but Flom just poked their head out just far enough to make sure they were taken out. They could not combo the orbital ray with the cage, but now, I mean, look at what Vicious Inferno has. The cage and the Death Blossom on its own should just win you a fight. We've seen them win multiple times in the past. And you look at Vicious Outlaws. They really have nothing here soon. Chicken can build up to a bomb pretty fast, but the cage is already out on the field.
Cage fight in, and the Death Blossom as well. The flip invested before the fight is even over. Vicious Inferno get the investments. They get the fight win here.
And again, Chicken deciding just to try to shoot a little bit. I mean, you weren't that far away from an edge of the map. Kind of just staggering yourself out a little bit here. Inferno's going to be able to take the lead because of it. But, I mean, you will come into this next engagement if you are the Outlaws with 3 ultimates of your own. That is, if Crazy Turn can build up to an orbital raid pretty fast. You look at Inferno, though. They have a Pulse Bomb, which, I mean, Obstology's Pulse Bombs have been huge in the past. 3 double kills already this series. Looking to add on to that here. And a rally from Todoroki, which can be deadly to Outlaws if they are not prepared for it.
Well, there's the Pulse Bomb from Obstology, not going to claim a life this time. We wait for somebody else to fall first, but Dark and Todoroki will pick up the rallies from each other there. Very low, and I mean, even without Skibbity Riz, like you said, the linchpin, they're able to get this fight in their favor. 2 for 2 trade now, however, as Onamain gets closer and closer to this orbital ray. Could be incredibly annoying as Crazy Turn goes down. It's a 2 versus 2 Obstology, and Onamain, and Skibbity Riz is actually returning for the reinforcements. Gonna get the kill onto Chicken, maybe? No, Obstology fed a rip shot there. Claimed by Dark, and Vicious Outlaws will manage here.
Obstology built into a Pulse Bomb incredibly quickly there because they threw it trying to get Chicken before they're able to get back into their mech. Not able to do it there. Vicious Outlaws now in control of the map, about to have both their DPS ultimates here. Inferno only has this Orbital Ray. Skibbity Riz not far away from their own Death Blossom, but at the moment, if you're Outlaws, you kind of have to play aggressively here again. You have to force Inferno to pop that Orbital Ray pretty early on.
Here is the Deadeye. Could be annoying. Unfortunately, turned a little bit too far down. The Wraith form from Skibbity Riz too much. Stomp out, and Obstology follows up beautifully. The cage fight going to lock them all into one spot at 99%. Vicious Inferno will claim the palace.
And if you're Outlaws, you needed that Deadeye to find at least one. You almost got rid of Skibbity Riz, but you needed to find one. You saw their target that was definitely Flom. Get them out early really makes it a lot easier for Outlaws to decide who they're going to go after next there. But Inferno played that absolutely beautifully here. Map point, series point in their control here at the moment. Outlaws have a tough uphill battle to go here, but they have the ultimates in their back pockets. The Death Blossoms are ready for both sides, and we know these Reapers love to TP into the back line, so be watching out. You already see Skibbity Riz up there on that high ground waiting for the victims.
Oh my god! Obstology just absolutely folding Amity there. Very, very good hip fire ADS shots there from the Ash of Vicious Inferno. And without Amity, there's not even going to be a fight for Vicious Inferno.
Not at all. I mean, they completely fall back. A very interesting thing, but I respect them for saying we need everyone here for this. Skibbity Riz, though, just kind of hiding off. They know they are getting set up for another Death Blossom. Curious, though, gonna pop theirs first and be able to fight two.
Yeah, investing the Death Blossom, letting that one rip. Skibbity Riz is in the back line, not ready to let this point go just yet. Beastology and Skibbity keeping this fight up, and the investment of the Bob is just only going to be milking more time. They're going to cross the half-century mark, but eventually will lose out entirely.
You get a couple extra percentage there. If I'm Obstology, I would probably have held on to that here for the next engagement, because just throwing the Bob out there basically forces Chicken to have to use that defense measure to eat up a lot. Rally out from Dark. They want to get rid of Flam here early.
Flam goes in hard and very low. The Death Blossom invested a lot of damage out, but it's Obstology that gets the final blows, but ultimately it's not a worry in the world for Vicious Outlaws as they get a team kill.
They get a team kill. Comes at the cost of both their support ultimates. They're perfectly fine with that. They will take the lead here. The rest of their team about to have all their ultimates here. Vicious Inferno does have that rally, not far away from a cage here, but right at the moment, Outlaws have the ultimates they need here to win another fight and win this point, sending it to a map point for both sides here. It's going to be really interesting to see when this rally comes out from Todoroki. Do they engage with it, or do they wait for some other stuff to pop out from Outlaws first?
I'm crossing that gap really, really quickly with the charge. sees the engagement from the Diva. Todoroki getting aggro as all get out here. Deadeye self-destruct in from the side of Vicious. Outlaws and Chicken not allowed to get back into the mech. Skivity Riz and Obisology good for one each. Skivity does end up going down, and Vicious Outlaws have just got to get out. They're on the verge of tying it up, though.
They're on the verge, but Crazy Turn doing the right thing. They're jumping off the map, going to be able to regroup with their team. It's going to be final fight for this point, no matter what this next engagement. And the Outlaws, they only have a Death Blossom, while Inferno, they're going to have a Cage, they're going to have an Orbital Ray, and most importantly, in my opinion, they're going to have a Bob. So Outlaws have a very uphill battle here. They need to do what has helped them in the past. They need to be aggressive early on, but the Cage is already out.
Yeah, and Chicken, that mech has already fallen. Crazy Turn in the sky. The Death Blossom, so frustrating to deal with, but quickly dealt with by Skibidi Riz, and Vicious Inferno absolutely slammed the door in the face of their org mates in the Outlaws. An excellent showing to continue their bracket run.
This might have been a 3-0 sweep here for Vicious Inferno, but the scoreboard at the end of the day will not necessarily tell us the entire story of this series. Outlaws played this one incredibly close and honestly at times looked like the better team, but I mean, it's horseshoes and hand grenades here. You can only be so close. You need to come out on top in one of these maps here. I mean, you see the score line there across all three maps. Outlaws just needed one thing to go their way on all these maps, and we could be looking at a much different storyline here. First map of Anarch Peninsula, incredibly close. I mean, I believe it was 9-9 to 9-9 on the final point. They could have won that one. Eichenwald was a map. We saw what happened there. I don't want to talk about it any more than that. And Surabasa was incredibly close as well. That fourth and final point went to 99 to 99. Third point went to 99 to 99. This was an incredibly close series. The 3-0 scoreline does not tell you the entire story, but Inferno, much like in week 7, come out on top. This time, though, not needing 4 maps, only needing 3.
Yeah. Very, very good showing by Vicious Inferno tonight, but we're not done just yet. We're going to get an interview here as we figure out who we're going to talk to, I believe. But we're going to cut it to a short break. When we come back, we will have an interview with one of our representatives from Vicious Inferno, so stick around for that. We'll get to pick their brain about this series. All right, welcome back, everybody. We got Anamain of Vicious Inferno here to talk to us about their series today. Anamain, how are y'all feeling about getting the win over your org mates in Outlaws?
Really good. What I'm most proud about is, first of all, we won 3-0, but we finally won a control map. Throughout the entirety of CGL, our team has not won a single control map. It's the bane of our existence, so I'm really happy about that today.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was an incredibly close control map there. It seemed like as every map went on, Outlaws always was able to constantly improve, but you guys were always able to find some way somehow to just one up them there. Is it because you guys are from the same org, you kind of know how each other are going to play, or is it just you know what you need to do at certain points to put yourselves on top?
Of course, we play a lot against them, so we know their weakness, we know what they're good at. Especially in Icon Wall, we were just trying to expose their weakness. Like at the end, we killed Chicken first, and that was really what closed the deal for us. But also, our team has been improving and improving. The synergy is really better now. So we don't really need to tell each other what to do. We just kind of instinctively know what to do. So that's just the best way to play the game. You don't need to do... Of course, we do callouts, but I immediately know what to do and what moment to pop ult and all of that, so that's really nice.
And you guys are kind of running that meta comp here at the moment with that Malga comp here. And it looked great throughout the night, but it seemed like Outlaws were able to find a couple little cracks here and there that they were able to exploit here. As you move on to the next round here and potentially further on, is there another comp that you might be working on or workshopping in the background in case the Malga comp just ends up not being the thing for you in any of the upcoming series?
If in the future the Malga comp doesn't work anymore, of course we're going to switch back to D.Va, Baptiste, Lucio, and the DPS can always switch to whatever they're more comfortable on. But if Magacom doesn't work anymore, D.Va is still a really strong tank in this meta. So in the future, if you see that Maga gets a nerf or anything, D.Va's always going to be a very valid, strong choice to take.
I mean, yeah, we saw what the D.Va can do. It's very annoying for a Malga to deal with that defense matrix for sure. But now, as we get ready to send you away to go prepare for the lower bracket run, Anamain, do you have anything else you want to bring up that maybe we didn't, or any shout outs that you'd like to make?
Of course, I want to get a shout out to our Reaper player, Skibidi Riz. Bro's finally happy now that Reaper is meta. So I just want to give him a shout out, wish him the best, and hopefully the Reaper is going to be really strong in the future. So Bro will be able to become the best. Shout out to him.
All right, shout out Skibidi Riz indeed. But Anamain, thank you for coming and talk to us tonight. Great win here tonight over Outlaws, and we wish you all the best of luck throughout the rest of the bracket.
Thank you guys. I'm gonna have a nice night of sleep tonight.
Me too, believe me.
Definitely for Fletch there.
But all right, have a good night, man.
Yeah. Have a good night, guys. Thank you for casting us.
Thank you. All right, Fletch.
All right.
I mean, a great series here. I have the feeling that it's a little bit bittersweet to be knocking out, another team from your same org. They could have the potential to do that next round as well, where they will be facing the winner of Demon Kittens and Vicious Unforgiven. So it's going to be something where they might have to be going through a lot of the Vicious teams here if they continue on here in this tournament. But they seem like a very confident team. They feel like that Malga comp is probably the way to go for them here at the moment, especially when you have players like Skibidi Riz and Obesology popping off like how they did. I don't blame them.
Yeah, I mean, this team has got some playmakers, to be sure, right? And you know what? I'll be honest with you. When your organization accounts for half of the teams in an entire bracket, yeah, you're gonna have to prepare yourself to knock them out, whether they are friends or not, right? And frankly, it does help a lot that I'm sure these 6 teams all scrim against each other consistently. So you've more than likely had some kind of matchup against these teams in the past. So I mean, it gives you an advantage in some form, right? So, a very, very interesting dynamic that we have here. I don't think anything like it has happened before in CGL. But Dex, we're coming to an end here. My long day, which started at 5:30 a.m., is coming to an end. The 4 matches I did here for the CGL side, that is 11 maps up, 11 maps down.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Ignore the fact that 4 matches happened. I don't want to talk about that. The math doesn't exactly add up the way it's supposed to. But regardless, all sweeps down the board here tonight. But regardless, had a lot of fun. I'm very tired, but
Yeah, I would imagine here, man.
Good day.
Yeah, a great day. I mean, hey, and a great week here for CGL. Next week, though, I mean, we're starting to get into the thick of it here when it comes to playoffs. A lot of teams will sadly be leaving, and a lot of teams will be punching their tickets into the grand final. So it's going to be a very exciting week coming up. You're not going to want to miss any of the action because as we go on, we're going to try to be bringing you all the games that are going to be played this week. Because like I said, we're running out some games here. Not a lot of teams left to fight for these championships, Fletch.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely getting down to the nitty gritty here. Very late in the season, there are no bad teams left. All of these teams are excellent in their own rights, have earned the right to be where they are. Unfortunately, this stream, though, is coming to an end. Thank you all for watching, and we will see y'all again tomorrow with some more CGL Season 14 playoff action.